Hello everyone, my name is Naël. I'm a computational journalist and the creator of Code Like a Journalist, a free online course about data analysis and data visualization with TypeScript. Today's lesson is about conditions. I have my Visual Studio Code already open on the side, so let's go. We can start the lesson. Of course, if you want to know when new lessons are available, you can subscribe to the newsletter, you can add a star to the GitHub repository, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. Let's start by setting things up for this lesson. So as usual, open a folder on your computer. I have my test folder over here. And we're going to create two files to get started. Main with console log hello in it. And dino.json, so VS Code knows that this is a Dino project. And then we're going to run our code. Run, watch, check, main.ts. Here we go. So now every time we save main, the code will be rerun. Conditions with TypeScript. To do conditions in TypeScript, we use if, else if, and else. Here we have an example. Let's use it. It will make everything easier to understand. So you can see here we have two variables, my age, 36, and your age, 25. To check if my age is greater than your age and do something if it's the case, we use if. And between brackets, right after the if, we put the condition. So here the condition is if my age is greater than your age. Then we have curly brackets. This will be executed if this condition is met. It will say console log, I'm older than you. We will see this in the terminal. And this is actually what is going on. My age is greater than your age. If this condition is not met, let's say that we switch 25 and 36 here. Now, this condition here is not met. This is not true anymore. So this here gets ignored. Dino goes directly to the next else if. And here we're checking, is my age smaller than your age? If this is true, what's between curly brackets right after the condition will be executed. You are older than me. And this is what is being logged right now. So this here is false. So this is not being executed. Dino checks for the next condition. This is true. And this gets executed. And the rest gets ignored. It's the same thing right here. If this is true, all of this is getting ignored. Now, what if the ages are the same? This is not true. This is not true. So we execute the last line, else. This is how conditions work. If, else if, and else. Pretty straightforward. Now here we used greater and smaller, but you have different comparison operators that you can use. There's also greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, or not equal to. In some lessons or websites, you might see equal to with just two equal signs, or not equal to with just the interrogation mark and one equal sign. It's best to use this syntax all the time because it will check for strict equality. It will check for types as well. So here you have more examples of all of these operators being used. So here my age is a number, your age is a number. Don't worry about the syntax. This is just what we call explicit types. We're just saying, hey, this is a number. and it will always be. So 36 and 25 again. So greater here will be true. This is a Boolean. The result of a comparison like this with a comparison operator is a Boolean. This is why it works. It works nicely with conditions, right? The result of this here is a Boolean, which is true or false. And it's exactly what we're doing here. We are directly putting the result of this comparison inside the variable greater, which is true. It's a Boolean. A comparison returns a Boolean. Greater or equal is another example here. It's true that my age is greater or equal to your age. Is it younger or equal? The answer is false. Are we the same age? Again, the answer is false. However, do we have a different age? Is my age different than your age? The answer is true. So these are a few examples of comparison operators being used. You also have what we call logical operators. Sometimes you want to check multiple conditions, not just one. So here we have a fun example. We check if you are old enough to have a drink in Quebec, where I live, or in Ontario. It's another Canadian province next to Quebec. And we need to check different things now because there's a different legal age to drink. In Quebec, it's 18. In Ontario, it's 19. So now we need to check for your province and your age. We have two conditions that needs to be met. So this is an example again here. Let's have a look. And I'm going to make this here. So now let's say that my age is 18 and that I live in Quebec. Here we have multiple conditions that need to be checked. And we're not using any logical operators right now. And you can see that it's a little bit overwhelming. We have a lot of if, else everywhere. We have a lot of indentation because we have nested conditions. This here work, but it could be improved. You can see that this code here is first checking if the province is Quebec. If the province is Quebec, it will check for these conditions. Is my age greater or equal to 18? Yes, so you are allowed to have a drink. Otherwise, you are not allowed. But if you are not in Quebec, this here will be skipped. And we will check if the province is Ontario. If you are in Ontario, then your age needs to be greater or equal to 19 to have a drink in a bar, for example, right? And otherwise, it probably means that my province is not Quebec, is not Ontario, and we don't know this province. Our algorithm right now does not take this into account. It just works with Quebec and Ontario. So we have nested conditions here. But we can do the same thing with the logical operator AND, like this. And now already everything is much simpler. So we still have my age, 18, and my province, Quebec. And now you see that we can check if the province is Quebec and my age is at least 18. So with this AND here operator, we are able to check two conditions. This here needs to be true, and this here needs to be true as well. If both are true, then this code gets executed. We can do the same thing with Ontario. If the province is Ontario and my age is greater or equal to 19, this gets executed. If none of these conditions are met, probably means that, oh, we can check if my province is not Quebec and my province is not Ontario. This means that the user typed a province that we don't know, and we log, I don't know this province. Otherwise, it means that you are in Ontario or you are in Quebec and your age, you are not old enough to order a drink in a bar, so you're not allowed. So this is the logical operator AND, which is quite handy here to make the conditions, checking the conditions a little bit easier. There's another operator, which is called OR. So this is AND, and this is OR. And we can simplify the code a little bit more by also using variables. So here it's a different configuration. We still have my age, my province, but now we are checking things directly outside of an if-else statement. So here we're saying, hey, let's create a new variable, is allowed in Quebec, and in it, we will put a Boolean. Is the person allowed in Quebec? True or false? To be allowed in Quebec, my province needs to be Quebec, and my age needs to be greater or equal to 18. We can do the same thing in Ontario. Is my province Ontario? And is my age greater or equal to 19? If this is true and this is true, is allowed in Ontario will be true. If this is true and this is true, is allowed in Quebec will be true. And now we can use an if statement with is allowed in Quebec or is allowed in Ontario. So if this is true, but this is false, this will get executed. We just need one thing to be true. This is or, it's not and. With and, you need everything to be true. But with or, just one is enough. So if is allowed in Quebec is true, this will get executed. If is allowed in Quebec false, but is allowed in Ontario true, this will get executed as well. So this is or, an or, a condition with or. If this is false and this is false, and if my province is not Quebec or my province is not Ontario, it means that we don't know the province that the user typed in. And the last possibility, the else, no conditions here, it's just anything else, is that you're not allowed. It means that you are in Quebec, you are in Ontario, but your age is not, you are not old enough to order a drink in a bar. So this is how the or works with conditions. Now, there's another way to write conditions, and it's with the conditional operator. It's also called the ternary operator. And it's great for very simple conditions that can fit on one line. So here we're doing the same thing. My age, province. We are creating a let variable with the message. And we're going to overwrite message with you are allowed or you are not allowed. So first we check if the province is Quebec. If it is the case, we override message with this here. It's a little bit different now. We check if my age is greater or equal to 18. And you see this interrogation mark? That's the conditional operator. We're saying, hey, check this. If this is true, I want you to use this. If this is false, notice this, I want you to use that. This is how it works. we do, and so you are allowed will be inside message if your age is greater or equal to 18 and your province is Quebec. You are not allowed will be inside the variable message if province is Quebec, but your age is not greater or equal to 18. We do the same thing for Ontario. So if you are not in Quebec, we skip this. We go directly there. Ontario, that's true. We go there. And now we check, we do the same thing with my age. Is my age greater or equal to 19? Interrogation mark. Yes? Okay. Use this. No? Then use that. And put it inside message. We have an else condition. So if none of these conditions are met, here it means that we don't know the province. Otherwise, we can just log the message. So you can see here how the algorithm is way simpler. And that's it about conditions. It might be a little bit abstract right now, but we're going to use it in a project very soon. And I think it will make everything a little bit clearer. Just know that you need if, between brackets, the condition, between curly brackets, what you want to do if the condition is true. You can use else if to test different conditions. Here we have we use just one else if, but you can have as many as you want. And you can end your condition statement with an else. So if none of the conditions above are true, you will execute what's in the else curly brackets. And yeah, you might wonder, oh, which syntax should I use? Is there one that is better than the other? And the answer is no. Basically, you can do all of this. Sometimes it will work very well and it will be very easy to understand with condition operator like this one, the ternary operator. Sometimes it's easier to have the else, if else written down explicitly. It really depends. The key thing though is to try to keep your code easy to understand. So if there's a mistake or a bug, it will be easier for you to fix. And I think that's it for this lesson. The next one is about loops. So see you there.